City set up a disaster relief team in the aftermath of a train derailment accident in Taiwan. Dr. Couple and Father Sampair joined Team Up Free Clinic in Shuangxi, New Taipei City. Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Sibyl Su. Thank you for joining us. In Taiwan, on the first day of the Qingming Festival holidays, a truck slid from the upper slopes, crashing into the local express train, causing the train to derail. 4 carriages are severely damaged, leading to 50 deaths and more than 100 injuries. Rescue efforts have been carried out as firefighters and policemen arrive at the scene.
The entire train remained stuck in the tunnel, unable to move as passengers evacuated to safety, still shocked from the horrifying accident.
你有反应到它有东西砸下来吗？还是？
我那时候在睡觉，什么都反应不到，过来。
我是坐在外面的椅子，对，靠走道，然后我有被甩到地上去。
The train traveling from Shuling to Taidong was struck by a truck that fell from the upper slope, causing the train itself to derail, rushing into the Qingshui Tunnel. As a result, the 5th to 8th carriages suffered the most severe impacts. The 1st and 2nd carriages were left exposed outside as passengers attempted to escape from the train.
The train carriage deformed and people died inside. Some are stuck and some fainted.
Firefighters, policemen, and the NASC set out to rescue passengers and staff members stuck on the train. Over 50 were confirmed dead and more than 100 injured. In the 70-year history of Taiwan railways, this accident became the worst and most fatal.
We immediately established a first-degree disaster response center and command center, hoping to control the emergency and rescue efforts. The Ministry of Health and Welfare has already set up rescue medical care. We full-heartedly support rescue efforts and will be assisting family members of the deceased.
On the first day of Qingming Festival, the unfortunate derailing of the train occurred, causing 2 train drivers to die in the line of duty, as the president promised to investigate the accident thoroughly, giving a proper response to the family members of the deceased.
In the aftermath of the train derailment accident, different hospitals in Hualien have initiated mass casualty incident system. The medical staff implemented triage of patients and immediately treated the severely injured passengers. As injured passengers have been carried out, Hualien City Medical Center medical team immediately implements triage of patients.
The space on the 2 sides is not enough. They have to walk out from the roof of the train. They are gradually coming out. When they come out, we will treat them.
The rescued passengers are waiting to be taken to hospitals at Chongde train station. One injured passenger even encourages his injured son to stay strong.
Hang on there, all right? As long as you live, there is tomorrow. There is a medical professional who knows some basic medical knowledge, and he helped separate the injured passengers.
More than 100 injured passengers have been sent to different hospitals in Hualien. The hospitals initiated mass casualty incident system, mobilizing medical staff to help out.
Currently, Mennonite Christian Hospital has taken injured Tarako Express train passengers who have wounds. Some of them fractured their bones. Most patients who need surgery suffered fractured bones. More than 100 medical staff members registered the patients immediately. Some of them performed surgeries. Some sent the patients to ICU, and some patients have returned. The patients' families are all terrified. Seeing the medical staff and volunteers, they felt more at ease.
Volunteers accompany the anxious patients and their families, calming their minds and distributing consolation cash.
The volunteers are here waiting for the injured passengers. We volunteers are here to accompany them.
The rescue team medical professionals and volunteers work with one heart and one mind, using most resources to help the injured passengers and their families get through the tough times. Also in the aftermath of the train derailment accident, City Foundation immediately set up a disaster relief team to prepare supplies and care for the rescue workers and injured passengers.
The wisdom and blessings porridge was sent to the rescue workers at the scene of the incident. In the aftermath of the train accident, Tzu Chi Foundation immediately set up a disaster relief team to provide help.
Whether it's firefighters, rescue personnel, as well as remains, frightened or injured passengers, we will provide hot food and drinking water, 精四 folding beds, and isolation tents.
At the scene of the accident, volunteers also set up a care station to comfort the injured passengers. Jinsi Boat also mobilized more than 200 people and prepared 1,000 lunch boxes, drinking water, bread, and other supplies in a day.
There are always stock materials and grains in Jinsi Boat. Under this situation, we can respond at any time.
The master also urged the volunteers to provide immediate assistance. Furthermore, there were many train passengers living in Taidong. Taidong volunteers also convened an emergency meeting to give follow-up care and assistance.
As we mentioned, in the aftermath of the train derailment accident, prosecutors are investigating the cause of the accident. The funeral homes also allow the families to identify the deceased families. In addition, different religious organizations have gone to the scene to help chant for the deceased passengers. In the aftermath of the train accident, city volunteers have gone to Xinchen train station to help process the bodies of the deceased passengers. They use partitions to draw out two routes so that the morticians can do their job with respect and other passengers can go in and out. Since there's a large number of deceased passengers, forensic investigators and prosecutors from Hualien and Northern District are investigating together. Hualien County government has prepared enough freezers in the funeral homes, and with respect, it helps the families identify the passengers.
First of all, we let their families identify the pictures. If we allow the families to go directly to the freezers or face the bodies, they'll be very sad. The funeral home wants to ensure that the families and the deceased passengers will not be in a very sad environment.
Until the rescue work is completed, city volunteers will continue to accompany the families and provide meals and drinks. Qingming Festival is a traditional Chinese festival. City volunteers from Malacca went to local cemetery to promote recycling and vegetarianism.
Volunteers are not afraid of getting dirty. They look for recyclable resources in the trash can. During the Qingming Festival, Tzu Chi volunteers in Malacca went to the cemetery to promote recycling. Qingming Festival is a traditional Chinese festival. Many people come to visit the tombs and worship their ancestors. Some people choose to worship their ancestors with vegetarian food. They do not kill lives and love the earth.
Animals eat plants. We eat animals because we need nutrition. But animal nutrition comes from plants, so we might as well just eat plants to get nourishment. Why eat that animal? I'm not a vegetarian because of religion. Actually, I've been a vegetarian for 3 years for my health and to protect the environment and help animals.
Remembering ancestors and caring for the next generation will be achieved as more people do recycling, giving the earth a little more hope.
Team members hold free clinics in Shuangxi regularly. On their most recent trip, their doctor couple and father-son pair. As they went to remote regions to care for seniors, they've also felt a warmth between old friends. Just like meeting an old friend, Yang Supen, who's a retired doctor from the Veteran General Hospital, has met an old patient.
When you do this movement, stay close to the wall and strain your body. It is better for your chest. You need to inhale. I can talk with her, which makes me happy. When I hear that he is doing well, I feel very happier.
Dr. Yang Supen's husband, who's the director of the cardiology department at Xinguang Hospital, has also joined the free clinic.
When I went to his house, I saw the condition of his sofa. He even has an ashtray with ashes in it, so you know, he cannot hide anything from us.
At a free clinic in Shuangxi, the doctors and patients are like a family. While chatting with the doctor, the patients learn about their health condition and lessen their worries. One doctor brought his son along on this free clinic.
Doctors need to nurture their moral characters. They need to have sympathy. Seeing people suffer, we should feel for them and think of ways to improve their lives.
The young volunteer who's attending college this year aspires to go to medical school. He's taking the steps to realize his dreams. In Shenyang, community volunteer Li Li suffered a cerebral hemorrhage in January last year. Because her husband passed away, her family only had her income to make ends meet. Tzu Chi Dharma families provided timely assistance to her. Let's take a look.
所以有病不可怕，可怕的就是那病人那种心灵上的富足啊，陪伴他一下就能让他从黑暗中走出来，就能见光明。
46-year-old Li Li is lying on a hospital bed without eyes. She suffered a cerebral hemorrhage in January last year. With her husband passing in her early years, she was originally the pillar for her children. But now, she also needs someone to take care of her, so the volunteers take on the responsibility.
We Tzu Chi volunteers always wanted to help her apply to be a care recipient, but Sister Li Li didn't want to do so since she didn't want to trouble Tzu Chi. But with her current health condition, she also wants to get well soon so she can resume doing Tzu Chi work. Therefore, we reported her case to be Tzu Chi care recipient.
For more than a year, volunteers have accompanied Li Li almost every day. In addition to keeping her company to do rehabilitation, they also prepared meals for her.
现做的饭，现做的菜，啊，还热乎的呢，好不好？好好好，还热乎的呢，你看，哎呀，摸摸。
Li Li, who has her right body paralyzed, does rehabilitation diligently every day. The husband of volunteer Tan Feng is also a patient with cerebral hemorrhage, so Tan Feng is very experienced in caring. She has given Li Li the most practical suggestions several times.
She must recover with the most correct posture. She needs to train her joints and muscles, including those connected between the nerves. The most important thing is that her nerves are compressed.
Cerebral hemorrhage not only made Li Li's arms and legs unable to move freely, but also took away her language ability. Volunteers taught her to speak, and this day they have an unexpected result finally.
右边的右侧听好了。OK。太好了，师姐，来给个拥抱。
The companionship of the Dharma family helped Li Li make significant progress on the road to recovery, and this relationship will continue to extend.
Indonesia has been affected by the COVID pandemic. People from all walks of life are struggling to survive. Amongst this group are the operators of low-cost restaurants, which appear throughout Indonesia. This industry relies on office workers, laborers, and low-income people as customers. Now that the income for these groups continues to decrease, nearly half of the country's low-cost restaurants face the threat of closure.
Business at various food stalls in Indonesia was greatly affected during the pandemic. Their original customer base has declined, and now nearly half of the low-cost restaurants face closure because of the drastic reduction in income for their customers who are saving on their 3 meals a day. The director of an Indonesian low-cost restaurant association revealed that about 20,000 restaurants have ceased business because they cannot pay rent, with most owners choosing to return to their hometown during this period.
Tahun 2020, teman-teman kan pada pulang kampung. Yang tadinya rumah-rumah pada kosong karena banyak usaha di Jakarta.
In 2020, many low-cost restaurant operators will return to their hometown. Previously, everyone was working in their capital, but in fact, in September and October last year, 20% of the people returned home. Since the epidemic hasn't improved yet, I predict that for more than 40,000 restaurants, or 50% of restaurants, will close and return to their hometown. They will return to Taipei City and Brebes.
40 sampai 50 ribu yang punya profesi dari kampung Tegal, Kota Tegal, Kabupaten Brebes.
According to statistics, there are more than 2,000 cheap restaurants in Jakarta, but the pandemic has left only half of the restaurants currently in operation. Among them, on Manbang Road in southern Jakarta, usually this row of restaurants is crowded with customers during lunch hours, but currently only one restaurant is still open. The restaurant industry said that since Jakarta implemented large-scale epidemic prevention control measures, restaurants' income has been less than 10% from the original $137 a day has declined to just $60. This income is just enough to pay rent and employee salaries.
The low-cost restaurants in office buildings and boarding areas are greatly affected. They're unlike the ones on the road, as those low-cost restaurants can remain open for business, but their income has dropped to just 30%, and they really can do business in office buildings and boarding areas. This does not include the payment of rent and other expenses. For my original staff, now there's only me to serve my guests. The most important thing is simply to stay open and not close.
From last year, the Indonesian government subsidy program for small medium enterprise did not include small food stalls.
Yang dipersyaratkan tidak ada hubungannya dengan perbankan. Nah, sementara warteg ini kan
low-cost restaurants belong to small medium-sized enterprises, though their rental fee is about $3,500 to $7,000. But this industry is unable to borrow from the bank, which is one of the difficulties that they encounter.
Ya ada istilah inilah pinjaman-pinjaman perbankan. Nah, ini stimulus-stimulus itu kan terus terang bagi pengusaha warteg itu belum menyasar banyak, ya kan.
Low-cost restaurants are still the first choice of many people, as this home-cooked feeling is not only cheap but also easy to access. But with many people choosing to return to their hometown temporarily or switching to other jobs, it has become even harder for many to make ends meet.
During the pandemic, a number of industries have struggled, but a number of them have been thriving. For example, online orders done through mobile phones have allowed a new generation of coffee shops to spring up everywhere. One special coffee shop is hidden in a tunnel in central Jakarta.
Sudirman Station in central Jakarta is a transfer station with a large number of people pass by every day and transfer to the subway or bus. A strong aroma of coffee wafts from a shop near the station, where the crowds come and go. The coffee, tea, and snacks in this coffee shop can not only quench thirst, but also help passengers wait for the next train. 5 disabled people run this coffee shop together. These physically challenged and hearing impaired people serve as baristas and counter staff. This is a support program for the physically challenged, which was established by an Islamic aid organization to encourage physically challenged people to be self-reliant and gain the courage to try their hand at business. This Islamic aid group has cooperated with Indonesian Association of the Disabled to provide a wider range of employment opportunities.
Intinya sebenarnya kita melihat bahwa difabel ini adalah different ability, mempunyai kemampuan.
The abilities of the handicapped are different from those who are able-bodied. Hopefully, many tunnels in Jakarta can be a place for people with disabilities to interact with many people.
Di Jakarta ini sekaligus bisa menjadi ruang inklusi bagi masyarakat difabel dengan seluruh masyarakat untuk saling berinteraksi, silaturahmi, saling kenal mengenal.
Customers must know some simple sign language in order to order drinks smoothly. But you don't need to worry because there's a sign language teaching pictures everywhere in the coffee shop for customers' reference. Roma is a barista and a waiter here. She is very grateful for having such an opportunity to learn how to make coffee, which has increased her work experience. The income from working in a coffee shop can support monthly living expenses, and Roma has become more and more confident in her communication.
I feel comfortable working here and it's also very lively. This is because I'm a curious person, which led me to come here and learn how to make coffee. I'm a coffee lover and also I want to learn how to make coffee.
In addition to providing employment opportunities, Islamic Aid Group hopes to help more disabled friends through the establishment of coffee shops, which can serve as a place for more interaction.
Pottery are common tools we use daily. It is also an important milestone in human development. With a history of over 11,000 years, pottery started from soft clay to turn into hard waterproof products. Follow our report as we learn more about the process of pottery making.
This is a process of turning dust into meaningful items.
How did we get clay in the past? It's from rock formation weathering and through firing. We turn clay into hard pottery.
Using the most ancient materials on Earth, and after high heats of 700 degrees Celsius, pottery can be made. At 1,230 degrees Celsius, ceramics are produced. Different clay produces different pottery, as the processes of wedging, shaping, decorating, drying on glaze decorating, and firing are needed.
In the early era, experienced people had to see clay. There were even tools to do so. After we find clay, we have to shape it to test if it's enduring or not. Actually, the materials we use for ceramics are natural clay minerals.
The process of decoration and bisque are important stages as craftsmen install their creative ideas into each product. It also determines the popularity of their creation.
We are drawing out the lines and adding in colors. This is different from traditional methods.
After drying and sculpting, these ceramics are sent into the kiln, waiting for an amazing result.
Wet clay to dry clay is actually a physical change. Until we color the products through the ceramic process at a kiln, due to high heat, the crystals fall off from clay, reducing its mass. This process is a chemical change. It's like clay turning into a rock.
What's fascinating about pottery is that during the process, human involvement, weather, humidity, and temperature affects the outcome of each product.
The changing of elements during ceramics may produce uncontrollable results. When the product is produced, it could be either beautiful or with flaws, but what is common is that the same item cannot be produced again. The change of elements actually produce unique works.
A change in element during the process of pottery is a combination of ash and clay, also known as a chemical reaction called glazing. The original colors of pottery can be found as green turns blue and brown turns gold.
The ceramic glaze comes from nature and includes metal particles inside, for example, blue and white porcelain. Before the ceramic process, it's just dust, simple green material, but after high heat and processing, the original blue color is brought out.
The ingle provides a location where clay transforms into hard pottery. In the early era, wood and coal are two major resources, but now with the gas kiln and electric kiln, the process of pottery is under control. In Inge, the most common kiln is the four-cornered kiln.
When we start from the kiln, the fire goes to the top, then travels to the smoke tunnel below. The temperature circulates inside, which causes ashes to pile up. After a while, someone has to clean the ashes, but adults are too big to fit in. Therefore, what they did was to tie a rope onto a child so that the child can go inside the smoke tunnel to clean.
Dust generated from natural cycles has a creative use after humans discovered ceramics, bringing more aesthetics and surprising elements to our lives.
In the aftermath of the train accident, at the Jingsi abode, Dharma masters and city volunteers have been providing meals and drinks to rescue workers. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.